Hello and welcome, dear friends, to our exploration of spirituality and the esoteric. Today, we'll venture into a profound realm of ancient wisdom, one that has guided spiritual seekers for centuries. Our focus is on a Taoist perspective of living with ease and grace in tune with the currents of existence. We'll discuss concepts like wu-wei, often called non-action or effortless action, and the transformative power of trust. We'll also look at how these principles challenge our usual understanding of government, social norms, and personal identity. If you're someone who wants to learn how letting go of excessive control can lead to deeper peace and unity, then this presentation is for you. Find a comfortable seat and relax. Let your thoughts settle and open your heart to the possibility that true peace can be found when we flow harmoniously with life. Let's begin. We start by acknowledging a universal source of suffering, our tendency to live in the past, attached to memories, or to chase future fantasies. We often let the weight of old experiences influence how we approach tomorrow. Meanwhile, our fear of an unknown future can lock us into relentless planning. Yet, many spiritual paths teach that past and future are mental constructs. The only reality is the present. Our attempts to control every outcome, however carefully planned, often fail. Life changes our plans unexpectedly, disrupting any illusion that we can dominate the future. This relentless push and pull between past regrets and future anxieties robs us of our true power in the now. Taoist wisdom suggests that when we relinquish the urge to dwell on time-bound thoughts, we rediscover a calmer presence. From this stillness, we can appreciate a new way of navigating the world, one that doesn't rely on rigid control, but on acceptance and awareness. Modern society often praises control and effort. We hear phrases like seize control, outwork everyone, and dominate your field. While discipline can be admirable, taking this to extremes can lead us to tyranny. Tyranny isn't always dramatic or political. It can be subtle and internal, shaped by our personal drive to impose beliefs on others. This forceful approach is woven deeply into social and cultural norms. Governments, religions, and communities often suggest that human beings are inherently untrustworthy. They teach us to assume the world is dangerous, pushing us toward rigid governance and oversight. However, Taoism presents a striking alternative, wu-wei. Instead of forcing our will onto life, wu-wei guides us to let actions arise spontaneously. Paradoxically, this yields an effortless harmony that control alone can't provide. Humans are frequently conditioned to feel like strangers in a hostile universe. This sense of alienation can make us dependent on external authorities, giving them our power. But from a Taoist perspective, reclaiming trust in ourselves and in the natural flow of life is the key to dissolving such dependency. Wu-wei translates literally to non-action, yet it's more subtle than mere inactivity. It's about acting without unnecessary force. Think of a gentle river meandering through a valley. Over time, the river shapes entire landscapes by following the path of least resistance. It does not struggle against the terrain, but it steadily influences its surroundings. Wu-wei invites us to mimic this effortless movement. Instead of compulsively trying to plan and direct every scenario, we pause. We let intuition guide us. In doing so, we discover a deeper intelligence at work in both our internal world and the wider cosmos. Adopting wu-wei can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if we're used to tight control. There's a nagging worry that letting go might lead to chaos. Yet, Lao Tzu's wisdom states that once we ease our grip, we discover a more organic form of order, a harmony that emerges naturally. This doesn't mean surrendering to harmful situations or failing to stand up for what's right. Rather, it's a reminder that when we're free of compulsive interference, our actions align with a higher wisdom. We act in the right moment and with balanced energy. In Taoist teachings, one concept stands out above all: trust. Trust in the genuine flow of life. Observe any ecosystem. Forests self-regulate, animals maintain balance, and rivers find their way without rigid micromanagement. There is an underlying order that arises spontaneously. Human beings, however, often lack trust. our upbringing and institutions tend to enforce suspicion. We believe we must control and dominate, shaping every event to fit our preferences. As a result, anxiety flourishes. True trust is radical and liberating. It means allowing others to exist as they are. This doesn't mean we ignore injustice. It means our empathy and wisdom guide us, not fear or domination. Trusting life means allowing people and situations to develop without our incessant interference. When a community embodies this trust, the need for authoritarian structures diminishes. But such transformation can only happen if we begin by rediscovering trust within ourselves. When we trust our inner compass, we rely less on external forces to shape our identity or destiny. Throughout history, many institutions have been formed to maintain order and keep people in check. Governments create laws, religions create doctrines, and social norms create expectations. This can be useful, but from a Taoist perspective, these structures are simply compensations for our unexamined fear. In an ideal world, people would instinctively respect each other and nature, making oppressive authority unnecessary. But lacking self-trust, societies overcompensate with rules. Some people hand over their sovereignty to external powers, hoping to feel safe. Unfortunately, once individuals depend on these structures for security, corruption can emerge. Lao Tzu suggests that the best form of governance is so subtle that it's barely noticed. When people cultivate their own integrity, heavy-handed oversight fades away. Taoism doesn't propose violent revolutions or abrupt dismantling of systems. Instead, it emphasizes a quiet, internal shift. As more individuals learn to trust themselves, the obsession with control softens. The government, in turn, becomes a servant rather than a master. In ancient China, two prominent philosophical views emerged: Confucianism and Taoism. Confucius advocated structured ethics, clear rituals, and social hierarchy. He believed that strong leadership and moral codes would create a harmonious society. By contrast, Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu pointed to the futility of too many rigid laws and moral pressures. They felt that forced virtue isn't genuine virtue. If you need threats or strict rules to ensure ethical behavior, what develops is more superficial compliance than heartfelt goodness. This doesn't mean Taoism dismisses kindness or charity. Rather, it believes that compassion arises naturally when people are free to follow the Tao. The Taoist approach suggests that when humans align with nature, virtuous behavior emerges on its own. Where Confucianism focuses on external structure, Taoism emphasizes internal balance. Both can have value, but they address different dimensions of human experience. The Taoist path resonates more with those longing for spontaneity, simplicity, and personal freedom. To grasp wu-wei and Taoist philosophy, examine nature's calm patterns. Notice how birds migrate without a universal decree, or how flowers bloom in perfect timing. They embody a cosmic dance called Li in Chinese thought, referencing the inherent structure of all life forms. Humans, too, hold an internal blueprint that wants to flourish. Yet, we complicate this growth by imposing artificial controls. We fear unpredictability, so we create countless systems to manage everything. This approach can hinder the natural flow that would otherwise guide us. In nature, everything has a place, and each organism contributes to the balance of the whole. When we insist on dominating nature, polluting rivers, destroying forests, we break that harmony. Taoism suggests the same applies to our internal world. If we constantly meddle in our own psyche through fear, we disturb our inner equilibrium. By observing how forests, oceans, and skies move in rhythm without forced interference, we learn to trust our own spontaneity. When we allow that spontaneity to arise, we aren't being chaotic or reckless. We're aligning with a universal pulse that has long nurtured the earth. Letting go of control is intimidating. Our cultures often reward overwork and unceasing vigilance. We're taught to hold on tight, plan meticulously, anticipate every risk, and always strive. Paradoxically, this constant effort can wear us down. Letting go isn't recklessness or laziness. It's discovering that hyper-control is a burden. By releasing it, we tap into something more profound. We come to see that life, left to its own wisdom, unfolds in surprising yet supportive ways. Does letting go mean we ignore our responsibilities? Not at all. It suggests we discriminate wisely about where effort is truly needed. We learn to sense the difference between healthy action, fueled by clarity, and frantic action, fueled by anxiety. Wu-wei is sometimes misunderstood as inaction, but it's more about minimal, precise action. Like a master craftsman who knows exactly where to cut or shape, we move with skillful ease when necessary and refrain when not. That balance springs from trust. In Taoist philosophy, two terms stand out: Li, the natural patterns that emerge in everything, and Tsujan, self-so, or the spontaneous unfolding of life. Observe how tree rings form or how crystals take shape. These phenomena don't result from external commands. They emerge from within, according to each entity's essence. Tsujan means that each being grows according to its nature when not hindered. Humans often disrupt this growth in themselves and in others through rigid control. Governments and organized ideologies sometimes attempt to direct every aspect of life, assuming they can engineer a perfect society. Yet, Taoist insight says forced social order eventually stifles creativity and genuine freedom. True harmony arises naturally when each person can live authentically, acting from their own internal guide rather than from external compulsion. This organic growth fosters mutual flourishing. Patience is key. Revolution rarely succeeds if it's based on anger or a hasty desire to destroy the old. Authentic transformation emerges gradually, much like how spring follows winter. When enough people embody genuine trust and sincerity, outdated systems naturally transform or dissolve. When we wholeheartedly adopt trust and the principle of wu-wei, we experience a sense of unity. We no longer see ourselves as isolated egos in a harsh world. Instead, we feel woven into a fabric of life that extends infinitely. This unity is not just a notion. It becomes an embodied realization. Many spiritual traditions, from Hinduism's teachings on Brahman and Atman to the mystical dimensions of Christianity, share this theme, an underlying oneness linking all existence. Taoism conveys that when the mind is still and free from mental noise, we glimpse our seamless connection to the universe. This stillness is compared to clear water. When water is disturbed, it loses its reflective calm. When it's still, it mirrors everything perfectly. Through trust, we discover that our essence is spacious and receptive. It holds space for the flow of life without judgment. As we surrender our compulsive controlling tendencies, we become an open conduit for a broader intelligence, one that integrates all beings into a cosmic whole. A compelling feature of Taoism is that it doesn't rely on rigid dogmas or hierarchical structures. It isn't about worshiping a distant deity or strictly following rituals. Instead, it points to the divine force present in every atom, breath, and heartbeat. While many faith traditions offer set doctrines, Taoism primarily asks, are you in harmony with the way? It invites personal exploration. If a given practice or tradition resonates with your nature, keep it. If it doesn't, let it go. This approach requires courage. Some prefer tightly defined rules. Yet Taoism beckons us to stand on our own spiritual feet and confront our shadows. Only by confronting what is hidden or repressed do we unlock genuine compassion. Without personal insight, we can't understand others or the environment in an authentic way. Ultimately, Taoism merges the inner journey with the outer. When we heal our internal confusion, our actions in the external world become wise and caring. Spiritual growth and social harmony thus walk hand in hand. Today's world faces environmental degradation, social tension, and spiritual angst. We often look for top-down solutions, new policies, global agreements, and sweeping reforms. However, these can fail if they ignore our shared psyche, shaped by fear and division. Taoism reminds us we are part of nature and not separate from it. Understanding this can lead to genuine stewardship of our planet. If we see rivers, forests, and animals as extensions of ourselves, we no longer exploit them for short-term gain. This doesn't imply an instant utopia. Rather, it highlights a shift in consciousness that starts within. When we each embody trust, humility, and respect for the natural order, we create ripples that touch communities and institutions. Over time, a cultural evolution may unfold, guided by deep reverence rather than brute force. Stories abound of individuals who surrendered to life's flow and were carried to remarkable outcomes. One might recall adventurers who set out to sea with minimal equipment, trusting wind and water. While many label this blind luck, others see nature's cooperation with a sincere heart. These tales suggest that when we align with life instead of dictating it, we forge relationships with the elements that defy logic. It's not about expecting miracles at every turn, but recognizing that nature has a mysterious intelligence we can cooperate with. Such narratives echo the Taoist conviction that we're never alone and that we hold an innate capacity to harmonize with far greater forces than ourselves. A common misunderstanding arises. If we're letting go of control, are we endorsing apathy? Does non-action mean doing nothing in the face of suffering? Not at all. This is a critical distinction. When you release control, you don't stop caring. You simply stop trying to force predetermined solutions. You stay open to spontaneous, compassionate action that arises from a calm heart. This is genuinely more powerful than the frantic interventions rooted in fear or anger. If a situation genuinely calls for response, you act. But you act without personal agenda, trusting life's guidance. You do so out of empathy, not hostility. Such action tends to be more precise and effective. In various religions, prayer is used to request divine intervention. While gratitude or selfless prayer can be beautiful, petitionary prayer often attempts to coerce universal forces. It assumes our personal preference overrides the vast intelligence of life. Taoism prompts us to question that stance. Trying to compel the divine or shape events by sheer will can reflect a subtle distrust. It implies we believe we know best. True trust means we can share our hopes or pains in a spirit of openness, but we don't cling to a rigid outcome. Sincere trust releases anxiety about the future. We remain attentive and receptive, aware that life might offer us something different or better than what our limited perspective imagined. This brings a deep sense of peace and a humility before the mystery of existence. We've journeyed through ideas about living beyond past and future, exploring how rigid control separates us from the present. We've discussed the subtlety of wu-wei and how letting go can result in deeper synchronization with the currents of life. We've highlighted trust as essential for genuine unity with ourselves, with others, and with the earth. We've looked at how institutions and societal norms can be symptoms of collective fear, and why profound change starts with a personal shift in consciousness. We explored the differences between rigid moral structures and the Taoist emphasis on inner transformation, realizing that true virtue manifests spontaneously. We discovered how nature's example of harmony can guide us in addressing personal and global challenges. We delved into the balance between letting life take its course and responsibly acting when the moment calls. In closing, remember that our lives unfold in mysterious ways. The more we relax our iron grip, the more we sense a supportive presence leading us to authentic growth and fulfillment. Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu would remind us that we're never truly separate from the unfolding tapestry of existence. By trusting in the way, we align with the greater intelligence that orchestrates everything, from the dance of galaxies to the bloom of a single flower. Thank you for taking this journey with me. May these reflections on Taoist thought inspire you to find deeper trust, unity, and effortless movement in your everyday life. Until we meet again, stay open, stay curious, and let life reveal its wonders without forcing it to fit preconceived molds.